Good morning everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen, and welcome back to the 12 days of Christmas. Today I thought it would be fun to try out a same but different recipe. We are going to be using our very favorite sourdough bread recipe, but we're going to make it a little bit festive. We're going to be adding some inclusions, which just means adding some things into the dough. We're going to add in some cranberries and toasted walnuts and put a little festive spin on the actual scoring of the bread. So if you're looking for something to bring to a Christmas party, a holiday function of some sort, I think this would be a great one to bring, and it's super easy. So if you want to see kind of how we do that today, just keep on watching. Sorry in advance if the lighting is a little bit funny in this video. Typically I film in the afternoons or in the evenings, but this is first thing in the morning, and we're very blessed to have a lot of windows in our house, but it makes it look like this half the time. So I'm gonna try my best to stay out of the sun, but we are just going to mix up all of the ingredients for our loaf today. So like I said before, this is the same everyday bread recipe that we always do. So it is 150 grams of sourdough starter. I know sometimes I say 150 grams of starter and other times I say 300 grams of starter. This just depends on if we're making one loaf or two. So 2 loaves is obviously the 300 grams of starter. Since this is a loaf with inclusions and it's going to be almost a little bit of a flavored loaf, we don't really need 2 of those. It's not as versatile as just the plain loaf, so we're just going to make the one today. So there's our 150 grams of starter. So now we are going to add 300 grams of water, 500 grams of all-purpose flour, and 10 grams of salt. Now that all of our ingredients have been added, we're just going to mix everything together until it forms a shaggy dough. We have our shaggy dough right here. Now all we have to do is put it back in the bowl, put the lid on, or cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit for 1 hour, then come back, and then we'll do our stretch and folds. Our 1 hour timer is up, so now we're just going to start our first set of stretch and folds. So you're just going to want to pull up on the dough, give it a little stretch and fold it over. Pull up, little stretch, and fold it over until you've gone all the way around the bowl. We are back doing another set of stretch and folds to our dough. And with the stretch and folds, you're going to want to do this same process 4 times. So stretch and fold, wait 30 minutes, stretch and fold, wait 30 minutes until you've done it 4 times. We are going to move on to our inclusions. So here you can just see me toasting up our crushed walnuts, and you can make these pieces as big or as little as you would like. It's not coming out of the bowl. There we go. So now that we actually have our dough outside of the bowl, we are just going to go ahead and flatten our piece of dough into a good size square, because you're going to want this as flat as possible and as spread out as possible so that we can add the most amount of walnuts on the top of our dough. One of the things that makes me honestly the most excited about this recipe is that it gets me out of my comfort zone. I am very much a creature of habit, and whenever I find a good recipe, I tend to stick with it and not do any sort of variations of the recipe. In this situation in particular, I have my very favorite sourdough bread recipe and rarely add in inclusions. So I'm honestly really excited to get out of my comfort zone, try something that's not so new, but just a little spin on things, and see what the different flavors we could add, or just try some new things just for fun. Now to add the cranberries into our cranberry walnut loaf, you're going to want to add craisins or any sort of dried cranberries, only because if you used fresh cranberries, they would obviously bake in the oven and give off liquid, and it might be great, it might be delicious, but I have never done it before. So if you want kind of a foolproof recipe, then I would definitely go with the dried cranberries first off, or maybe you want to experiment a little bit and use the fresh cranberries. Either way, I'm sure it would be delicious. Now that we're getting into the actual shaping of our dough, you're going to want to take the right side of the dough and then just fold that over into the middle, and then take the left and then fold that side into the middle until you get this burrito-like shape. And now we're just going to go ahead and add the remainder of the toasted walnuts and throw in some extra cranberries right there on the top. The goal here is just to make sure that we have the toasted walnuts and the cranberries really evenly spread throughout the dough, because we don't want just a big piece of walnut and cranberry right in the middle. We want it evenly dispersed throughout the bread so that in every bite you get either a cranberry or a walnut, and it just makes it that much more delicious. Honestly, the trickiest part of this whole shaping with the inclusions is this step here. You want to carefully, and as you can see, some walnuts are falling. It's okay, pick it up and just gently roll all of this dough together, and then you're going to form it into the dough ball that is going to be the end product. Try your best not to form it too much because you don't want the top layer of dough to break and have your inclusions popping through. So go ahead and twist it enough so that the top is nice and tight, but not too much that you have your ingredients popping through. It's a balancing act, but with a little bit of patience, you'll get there, I promise. This will now bulk cold ferment in the fridge overnight, and here we are the next morning sprinkling it with flour so that we can properly score it. The scoring here is what truly is going to bring it together. We are cutting it in half and then in quarters, so you're going to have 8 triangles, and to make this look so festive and so Christmassy, those 8 triangles, you're then going to use your scissors and snip upward cuts so that you can have downward tree stems. So we are turning these flour covered triangles into Christmas trees. Once this is all baked, you're going to have cute little Christmas trees all over your loaf. The final step in this process is, of course, the baking. So go ahead and set your oven to 500 degrees. We're going to bake this for 18 minutes. Then we're going to cook it again for 15 minutes at 470 degrees. And there we have it. Our Christmas tree and Christmas flavored sourdough loaf is all done. Just wanted to say thank you so much for spending another day in the kitchen with me. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!